Hello, good morning, students. Welcome in today's class through online teaching. In today's class, we will complete the remaining stanzas of the poem To a Skylark. This poem was written by P.B. Shelley, who was a famous romantic poet of 19th century. P.B. Shelley wrote this poem in 1820, and this poem is addressed to a bird named Skylark. The poet P.B. Shelley addresses Skylark bird in this poem to a skylark. In today's session, we will complete the remaining stanzas of the poem to a skylark. So let's start. Yet if we could scorn hate and pride and fear, if we were things born not to shed a tear, I know not how thy joy we ever should come near. If we could scorn, it means if we could be free from hate, pride, and fear, means the worst of the human weakness. Hate, pride, and fear are evils of human life. In these lines, the poet aspires for the poetic powers of the world. Even when exempt from hate, pride, fear, sorrow, human joy could not equal the word's joy. In these lines, the poet analyzes the cause of man's unhappiness. Man is unhappy because of our life in this world is ruled by bad qualities like hate, pride, and fear instead of love. The poet says that man's life is one unmixed scene of sorrows, fears for the future, regrets for the past, and disappointments in hopes that cannot be realized, clamp down with sadness the happiest occasions of man's life. Even in the field of poetry, our best poems are those that are the most pathetic in sentiment. The poet P.B. Shelley says that human happiness is told by feelings of hate, pride, fear. Human beings are born to suffer sorrows and griefs and to shed tears over their misery. Even if it were possible for human beings to cast off hate, pride, and fear from their hearts, and even if there were no sorrows in the life of human beings, to make them be, even then they would not be able to enjoy that supreme happiness which the skylark enjoys. The poet says that hate, pride, and fear are the cause of unhappiness. Shelley wanted every heart to be ruled by love. The poet says that although such a state is unconceivable, yet supposing that if it were possible for man to rise superior to the malignant and violent passions of human, such as hate, pride, and fear, it would still be impossible for man to attain to such a state of perfect joy as the skylarks. Supposing that man by his very nature were incapable of sorrow, it would still be impossible for us to equal the state of perfect joy of the skylark. The poet wants to say that poets would derive greater profit from a study of the skylark's power of harmony than from studying the most melodious strains or the richest thoughts and feelings contained in book. The poet will prefer skylark's soft music than the knowledge found in books. The music of skylark is superior than knowledge found in the book. Better than all measures of delightful sound, better than all treasures that in books are found, thy skill to poet were, thou scorner of the ground. Teach me half the gladness that thy brain must know, such harmonious madness from my lips would flow, the world should listen then as I am listening now. The poet points out that the poets will be benefited if they learn the art of scorning the evils of human society. They should refrain from the sins from which man suffers, like hate and jealousy. They should develop the feelings of love and affection. Skylark is ignorant of pains and sufferings because it loves its own race. The poet asks the skylark to make him happy like it. If he felt half as happy as the lark was, he would be inspired to write poetry of ravishing sweetness. The whole bird would then listen spellbound to him, just as he was listening to the lark's song. If he were to feel half as delighted as the skylark, he could write poetry that would hold the bird spellbound with his sweet songs. The fresh and intense enjoyment of the skylark knows no dullness. It does not decline, not to speak of real pain. Even its shadow has not approached the bird. It has not experienced even the slightest feeling of pain or sorrow. The bird is a great lover, but its love no opposed to the love of man, which fills him with disgust after he has enjoyed it. Much of the grief and sadness in human life is due to man's vague and imperfect ideas about death. The world beyond, as opposed to man, the world seems to be possessed of some divine instinct which gives it a clear and true idea of death. This is evident from its music, which flows in perfect harmony and has in it pure and unmixed joy, which could not have been there if the world were as ignorant of the true nature of death as man. Man is ever unhappy and discontented. He thinks not only of the present but also of the past and future. These thoughts fill him with sadness. He feels sorry for his failures in the past and fears the uncertainties of the world. He always wishes for those things which he has missed or which he cannot get, and therefore becomes discontent and unhappy. Even his greatest joy is mixed with pain and sorrow. His songs, which he considers to be sweetest, are those which contain melancholy thoughts. Addressing the skylark as a heavenly singer, Shelley says in this poem, in this stanza, that to a poet, the gift of the skylark's joyous song would be more valuable than all the earthly melodies and all the knowledge contained in books. A poet will draw greater inspiration from the skylark song than from knowledge and wisdom contained in human verse. The poet wishes that the word could impart to him half the joy of its heart. This would enable him to sing such inspired songs of fine melody that the whole bird would be spellbound by his poetry. He would thus be able to fulfill his prophetic mission. So students, this is all about the poem To a Skylark. In this poem, the poet P.B. Shelley addresses a bird named the skylark. The skylark bird flies in the golden sunshine of the evening, and it is not merely a bird but a spirit of ethereal qualities. It rises from the earth like an imprisoned flame, its smoke dissolves into the cloud. The poet compares the music of the skylark to the music of several other objects of nature. The song of the bird is sweeter than that of the rains. It is more impressive than the rainbow. Just as a glowworm makes the air luminous, the skylark showers its melody on the earth. The rose spreads its fragrance with the breeze. The same breeze carries the music of the skylark to the different objects of the bird. The music of the lark is superior to the song sung in the praise of love and wine. The lyrics of victory and the poems composed in praise of kings and princes. The poet wants to know the source of the skylark's inspiring song. He asks the bird whether she gets inspiration from fields or waves or mountains. Her song is so pure that she never suffers from low spirits. The poet feels that the skylark knows the meaning of death and so she is not afraid of death. This knowledge is the source of her joy. The poet feels that the poem is sublime when it portrays the pathos of man's life. According to the poet, a man's happiness is infected with sorrow. He fears the future and regrets the past, and so he is unhappy. He can never be happy in life. Happiness is the lot of the skylark. The song of the skylark is a better inspiration for a poet than any music composed by human beings or the wisdom stored in books. So the poet invokes the skylark to inspire him with its song and joy. He feels that if he gets a part of the word's joy, he will be able to impress the world with his great poems. He will compose poems that will make the world spellbound.